Hello, what's up? So I wrote a review for Squad Kill the Justice League. I like the game a lot. I'm going to read my review, and all the screenshots that I'll be playing here are my own. Unfortunately, there's no photo mode, so no control over that. Anyways, here is my review for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Alright, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is incredibly funny, has very fun gameplay, and the main story is totally worth your time, if you're a DC Comics fan, of course. This is a new thing for me. I'm going to quickly say this before I continue my review. I realized this in Forspoken, I think, when I did my review for Forspoken, is something I thought about was like, you know what, I'm just going to make my initial overall impression of the game the very first thing I say in a review. Just be like, this is what I think. I love the game. It's great. And the rest of this is just some more thoughts on it. There was something just I wanted to make it clear that I enjoyed the game without somebody having to read through like a bunch of stuff, right? Mostly because, especially when I review games that people hate. Everybody hates these games that I love, and I'm just like, whatever. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, I love it. I don't care what you think. Anyways, but yeah, so no, that's something I decided during Forspoken was like, yeah, I'm just going to start the review off with my overall, like, score impression kind of a thing, Anyways, to continue. I never really cared for the Suicide Squad characters. I didn't like the first movie that came out. I thought that version of the Joker was cool in an interesting way, aside from his teeth. Couldn't stand his teeth. The second movie was pretty good, and it surprisingly reminded me of The Boys. And the reason I even wrote that, I normally wouldn't write something like that because it's not about the game, was just because I've never cared about these characters really. Like, Harley Quinn has been part of Batman, right? So she's cool, whatever. But I like Boomerang, don't care. Shark, don't care. Deadshot? Don't care, so whatever. Like, I'm not a fan of the Suicide Squad in general. Like, I've liked their stories. They even had a little bit of it in Smallville. They had some Suicide Squad stuff in Smallville. But so I just wanted to make that clear as well. Like, I like this game a lot, and I'm not like some longtime fan of the characters. And I actually think maybe, I don't know for sure, maybe longtime fans of the comic book specifically or something might not like the game. I don't know. Maybe they're too different or not what they expect or anything. But anyways, there's that. Alright. I had enjoyed my brief playtime in the beta for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I forgot about that. It's just something I learned when writing for journalism. You gotta write the title like over and over and over. I think it was just for SEO though. Anyways, I enjoyed my time in playing the beta, but it did not sell me on a $70 pre-order. I knew I would wait for it to be on sale for around $20 before I got around to playing it. So I knew it was going to be a while. Or I expected it to be a while anyways. It's more because of my own income than what a game might be worth. I've always thought everything is overpriced for my entire life, and I don't imagine that will ever change, aside from continuously getting worse as it always has. Anyways, I don't know. It's funny. I forgot. I'll explain a little more if you make it to the end of my review here, because there's going to be a trigger moment in a single paragraph during this review that will probably lose some people. Anyways, all right. The first thing I remember loving about the beta was the traversal for each character. Yeah, that was the thing that left the biggest impression on me when I quit the game. I was like, I liked them all. All the characters seemed pretty cool. I didn't play enough of the gunplay. Like, it seemed okay, like it wasn't bad or anything. But I didn't play a lot of the beta. I checked it out. I played like maybe an hour or two, and because they didn't have a lot of content, right? It was just you do a little open world stuff, and it wasn't really a whole lot going on. But I really liked the traversal. It's pretty cool stuff. I have my own preferences. One character's version of movement will always be better depending on what we prefer. My favorite traversal is Shark's. It's just fun and feels powerful as well. It feels powerful. Like, I leaping and jumping all over the place. Just tons of fun. I loved it. And I would think it's funny because he was my least favorite in the beta. Like, I thought Shark was cool in the beta, but I liked everybody else's traversal way more. And then for some reason, I think I decided to pick him because I wanted to focus on like heavy machinery and kind of being tanky. And I wasn't sure if he would be tanky, but that's what I figured. So I just decided to play him. You know, I actually, for some reason, I wanted to play what I thought was going to be my least favorite character first. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Ended up loving him. I played him the whole way, and I just loved him. It was really cool. Shark was my main played character throughout the entire campaign. As I'm writing this, I had recently started a new campaign playthrough as Boomerang. I'd rather just grind the end game. But it has been incredibly buggy for me, and things just aren't working right. So I figured I'd try leveling this character up before trying endgame again. There's no need for a new game plus, since you can just pick any of the story missions you want to play at any time. That's pretty cool. I do like that. There's games like Control, for example, where you can pick the different missions and you can play through the story as you want once you've gone through it and whatever. You can go back and you can replay that chapter, but you don't have any. You start over again. Like if you play from chapter 1, there's no new game plus. It doesn't keep your abilities. Like it's so annoying. I hate that. I want Control to have a new game plus. That would have been nice. But anyway, so this one is basically a new game plus with mission select, kind of, right? So you know whatever. So it's cool. Something here reminded me of something real quick. Oh yeah, and I have a few notes here that I mentioned some of the bugs. But when I first got into the endgame, after I first beat the campaign, I tried doing the first season episode, because the new season just came out with the Miss Freeze or whatever. Oh, she looks fun, man. She looks like a blast to play as. It'll be a while before I play her, because my first plan is to finish the Joker one and get Joker unlocked. But what happened was I started the previous season, and like it started me in the new season though, even though I selected the previous one. So it's just weird. There's a lot of weird bugs in the game. And another thing that happened was like I was doing the end game and I switched characters. My Shark he's my highest level character. He's maxed out. And I wanted to switch characters to play some more, switch it up. And the first thing I noticed was I was getting my ass kicked. Like I was just dying. I was running because I didn't want to die, but I was getting my butt kicked left and right, and I was like, why can't I play this content? I went back after a day or two or whatever, and I was like, and I started figuring it out, looking for the little things. But it is a buggy game. There's random stuff that'll happen, and you have to shut the game down and reopen it for things to work again. But my first experience in the end game was my AI teammates were not fighting with me. They just were nowhere around, and I was like, what the hell's going on? So that sucked. My very first introduction to the endgame was very unenjoyable. But I liked the game enough to be like, I'm gonna go back when I'm in the mood and I'll give it a try. And I'm glad I did, and now I'm into the endgame a bit more. I've got some progress on the first season. And they do have all the content at once. So you just have to make sure that you're going to the right missions. Because I could go to the wrong missions and get my butt kicked because they're higher level than my character and stuff. The new one that I'm playing. So the AI is pretty good as teammates. They also get the same gear you do, right? Like and they'll automatically equip gear if you have it in your inventory and it's an upgrade for them. I don't know how long it takes. It doesn't do it right away. But after a little bit of time, like they'll automatically like equip gear that you're not using that's just sitting in your inventory, and they'll equip upgrades. So I thought that was cool. It was like, all right, nice. But they don't level up with you though, which I also thought was kind of cool, because I was like, you know what, this gives me the chance to actually like play through them and learn them as I go, right? Getting the talents up and whatever. So it's not a big deal, but I kind of like that. I liked switching to them and starting low, kind of. It does suck getting your butt kicked though, mostly just because of the talents too. Like dude, Shark, he's maxed out. Like he's such a badass. He's just pure badassery, dude. I love playing as him. He's great. All right, anyways, so just a few notes on some bugs. I mentioned these in my post here just because. Invisible enemies can happen, so you can't proceed with the mission because the enemies are just nowhere around. So you have to actually like quit either the lobby or the game itself and reboot it. If for some reason quitting the lobby and starting it doesn't fix it. That was a weird one. AI teammates not showing up in the game at all, which I mentioned. Character customization sometimes saves based on what you had previewed rather than what you have selected. So if you go into the customization of the characters and you're hovering the mouse over, like, you know, the different things that you pick from, it'll, when you leave and you go back out to the menu and back to the game, sometimes it'll load what you were like previewing, right? Didn't click select, didn't change to that piece, but it'll save your character like that because you just looked at it and I'm like, oh man. So that's just an annoying little thing. And then the biggest one, which is weird to me, and I had forgotten about it because it's not a big deal. Like, I don't hate it. It's not like game breaking. It does suck though. Audio in the cinematics almost never syncs correctly. Almost never. There's almost always like a 2 to 5 second delay between their, like, what they're saying and like that. It's terrible. I'm like, and almost the whole damn time, I was like, that's, what the hell, right? Like, how is that a bug that just remained this whole time? Anyways, whatever. And so there are some bugs. I'm sure there's other bugs too, you know, whatever. But I was, you know, played most of it. I forgot to mention some of that later. Okay. This is just a few bugs I wanted to mention as I was writing this out. One thing I was glad I did was just stuck to the story missions without treating it like a typical open world game. In most open world games like the Infamous series or others, and I only mentioned Infamous because I just love that series. It's not actually, like, it doesn't have a ton of content in the open world. That was more than Suicide Squad. But I just mentioned that game because I love it. It's not even a good one to compare. It would be more like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry would be better to compare it to. But I would explore and just do random things in those types of games. In Suicide Squad, it just doesn't have enough enough variety and mission types in the open world to focus on that, to get lost in just doing open world stuff. It's just not, there's some races and some Riddler trophies basically, and, like, you know, little Riddler puzzles or whatever, but it's to me it's kind of whatever, and which is fine. That's fine, especially because the campaign is so great. Like, it's great. So I stuck to the campaign missions for the most part. I barely ever, like, wandered off and just killed random enemies. The benefit of going from mission to mission and sticking to the campaign with almost no exploring was that I kept unlocking new game elements pretty much the entire time straight through the end before opening up endgame after the campaign was over. And yeah, I, like, every story mission almost every, it was like every 1 or 2 missions, every 3, maybe 3 missions, but like pretty much constantly I was unlocking new things, like new elements to the game, unlocked new enemy types, unlocked new upgrade types. There was always something that just kept adding to the game, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting, you know. So now it's cool. So I think it's a waste of time to explore until after you beat the campaign. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, like, it just, the way it worked out was just, you know, especially because the campaign was so good. It reminds me of the Avengers game. Anyways, the ending was so good. I loved the ending. I don't even remember what the hell happened, actually. I beat it a few days ago. I don't remember everything exactly how it happened, you know, whatever. I don't have it memorized. I just thought it was so cool. Like, I want a sequel. All right, anyways, to continue. I'm a big fan of stories that involve alternate timelines and parallel universes, so I had a lot of fun with this one. Lex Luthor seems to always be an interesting character no matter what world he's from. I've seen, like, you know, in the alternate realities and stories, Lex Luthor is always, even when he's evil, he's still interesting. And it's not because he's evil, he's just an interesting character. They've done good on him. Alright, anyways, when it comes to combat, you basically melee first, shoot immediately after. You don't have to, it's just the way the general mechanics work. I haven't played every character, though. I'm playing Boomerang, and it's kind of similar to Shark. He's definitely different. But the, you know, melee and shooting is kind of you do combine them both often, which is cool. That's cool. Generally it's easy, but there are a lot of elements that can bring different challenges to each fight while on a mission. Mission challenges include things like being unable to finish off enemies without first doing some type of elemental damage. There's several different challenge types offered. I didn't care enough to write them all down, but they do add a decent variation. I also didn't memorize them. There's several, like, different things that the mission the only way to complete it is to do it a certain thing, you know, whatever. In the open world, enemies tend to be a lot easier to take down since they don't have the challenges included with them as compared to the campaign missions. So in the open world, they're just regular out there, you know, and you just do whatever you want. And the missions, there's usually like something you have to do in order to take them down. The different attack elements such as fire, poison, cold, and lightning are fun to play with. There are a lot of different weapon types with different perks that can fit certain playstyles as well. Yeah, so as far as like looter shooter style thing goes, there's a lot of loot. And there's different perks. You know, like, I don't know if you've ever played those games like Destiny or Diablo and stuff like that. You know, they have like the different stats and there's like special perks on some of them or whatever. Stuff like that. There's plenty of loot to be had, but I never had to constantly upgrade my gear to keep up with the game. I like that. I also like how different buffs you activate from certain attacks and combo chains have visual effects around your characters, such as auras and glows. Same goes for the guns. Looks real cool. It took me a while to get used to the game interface. I hated it at first. I didn't like it. I felt it was so sloppy, but it took a while, and I finally got used to it. And it started to feel more familiar, similar to Avengers, Outriders, Destiny, when it comes to managing your inventory and stuff. I found out the Battle Pass is actually free from playing the game, but it's a very long grind in comparison to paying for it. It reminds me a little of the Marvel's Avengers Battle Pass, which was also just a disgustingly horrible grind, but at least you can earn it for free eventually, probably a jillion hours after completing the campaign. I don't know yet. Although, so I had seen some posts on Steam mentioning like if you do the season content, you'll go through it quicker, and I noticed that. I think because I have not played a whole lot of content, but I did notice things speed up as far as the battle pass goes. When I got into the season content, I didn't do it. Do you even have it unlocked before you beat the campaign? I don't remember. I don't think you do. I don't even think there's so much stuff you unlock, including like next missions you can access after you get through the story and stuff. So, but yeah, I didn't start doing any seasonal stuff until after I beat the main story. My favorite side mission to do is the ones where you drive the Batmobile and blow everything up. That's great. The Batmobile. Those are super fun and sadly not as common as the other mission types, which is pretty messed up too, because you actually eventually upgrade the vehicle and like you have more powerful weapons, it lasts longer, and it's just really fun to fly around in your car and launch missiles or whatever, you know, it's fun. I loved the boss fight with Superman, which was both epic and annoying. When I first wrote this, I thought he was the final boss, because story-wise, it just seemed like that was it. And then I realized, I was like, wait, it's still going. Because I was writing this, and I thought I was done with the review, and then I went back, and I was like, oh, whoops. Anyways, he's still my favorite boss fight. He zooms around so fast you almost never get a chance to hit him while also having to avoid a lot of environmental damage. What I thought was funny about this, I was writing this down. He zooms around so fast whenever. It's the same as the first boss fight, which is the Flash. I'm pretty sure he was the first one. Superman's faster though, and he flies around, which is different than the Flash, like zooming around, right? It was just it was different. Definitely a different boss fight. But I did think it was funny that as I was writing this, I was like, it sounds like I'm just writing about the Flash, but no, it was. Anyways. He throws poisonous clouds at you for some reason. I just wrote that down because I thought it was like, I remember I was playing it and I was like, why is Superman using poison? Like, what? It was fine though. He also throws vehicles and will even melee with them too, which has an awesome animation. Yeah, if he'll like fly over to you with the vehicle, you can dodge. You don't have a whole lot of time, but if you see it coming, you can get out of the way quick. But the animation on it is badass. Like when he throws it at you, it's great. But when he actually like you see Superman swinging a vehicle around to smack you, I loved it, dude. I was like, oh my gosh, that's badass. All right. Anyways, I threw in a tip, blow up the ice shards he summons around the arena. It took me a while to realize I could even do that. Yeah, I think it might have been another fight too. There was a couple, I guess probably a couple fights where they do something similar, where there's things that are just all over the freaking place. And what I was doing, I was dodging them. I was avoiding them going around. I didn't know I could shoot them for a long time. And I think I just tried once because there was just too many. You know, I was getting overwhelmed. I was like, dude, this is impossible. This is dumb. And I wasn't dying or it, but I just couldn't fight him because I was like, there was too much crap all over the screen. So I finally just tried to shoot one time, and it blew up, and I was like, oh, son of a butt. Made things easier. Let's see. I thought he was the hardest boss in the game because he took me so longer to figure out than any other boss. Actually, probably, yeah. I mean, I don't even think I got stuck on any other bosses. Not even the one after Superman. Anyways, to continue, I was able to play through most of the campaign without much of an issue, about 80% of the time without being frustrated by bugs. I'm never a fan of being forced to snail pace walk for certain story parts in any game. Final Fantasy, anyway, such as the Batman and hallucination parts in this game. The slow moving sucked, but the stage was pretty cool. That was cool. I like that. You know, like kind of like the Arkham series. This is Rocksteady, right? Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people from the team are still the same. And it's kind of made me think of Blizzard, right? Like Blizzard isn't Blizzard anymore. It's just by name alone. Anyways, so trigger warning. Trigger warning right now. There's a single paragraph here that I wrote in relation to politics, and then I still have a few more paragraphs after this. I'm just letting you know, if you feel like sticking around after the next paragraph and I don't lose you right now, cool. But here we go. All right. I like when writers have political content in their stories. It makes sense to me. I have relatable parts of real life in them. That said, gender identity is ludicrous and delusional. This is brainwashing at its worst, and it's sad to see everybody in on it and how many are affected by it. Even after having spent 30 plus years knowing the difference between a female and a male, and now they don't. It's shameful, and those people should be embarrassed by it if they ever wake up. It's better to be embarrassed than to continue to be brainwashed into complete absurdity. The end of Trigger. Okay. And I kind of want to say more. The only reason I talk about it now is there's no way I'm never not going to talk about it now, because politics is in everything, and I'm no longer going to let it go. That's all. Well, that was just a brief thing that I threw in there. It can be very offensive to some, and I honestly don't care. I don't care. What offends me is going along with that. So we're both offended. I would not spend $70 on this, but that's just me. I find it hard to want to spend that kind of money on any game at all, especially when they include paddle passes and microtransactions of any kind at all. I picked this up for free on the Epic Game Store when they offered it. I had been waiting for a sale for $20 for the deluxe edition, so that this was even better. It's been on sale a couple times at least for $20, but without the season pass thing, the deluxe edition, which is what I wanted to get with it. So I just kept holding off. But I was planning to buy it eventually. Getting the game for free even made it so I'm slightly more willing to spend money on costumes, but even then, the prices are ludicrous. They have $35 skins in this game. And the next is what, $80 Overwatch 2, right? I think. And the whole business model of the gaming industry is so disgusting that I cringe at the thought of buying their costumes. And this is, I cringe when I'm in a shop, because I'll look at the skins, I check them out, and I wish they were earnable by playing the game, because I'm like, I want these. These are really cool skins. I have no problem with the actual skins, and the costumes are all really cool. I sure as hell don't want to pay $20, $30, $40, $80 for one. Stupid. And I, of course, would be more willing to if my job wasn't a $14 an hour job. You know, that things would change. So I suppose, right? Anyways. Where am I? Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Overall, I found Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League to be highly enjoyable. I think it deserves a sequel, one without the stupid monetization of the garbage industry that is so normal now. They should get a clue from Insomniac Spider-Man games to make it better. Really good games are ruined by these terrible business practices. I also don't expect a sequel because of the sheeple. Might as well consider this game dead and buried at this point, but I think it was totally worth playing, and it would have been nice if it wasn't ruined by retarded ideology, bad business, and sheeple. And that is the end of my review for Suicide. I have a couple things to share after that too. But yeah, alright, well, let me bring up the one comment I got so far. This was just on Twitter, someone replied to me, and I thought it was so funny, and so I feel like sharing it. So this comment on Twitter said, "This is a horrible review. You can't seem to stop talking about yourself. Congratulations, you managed to not include any of the best points about the game, as well as completely leaving out everything bad that makes it an atrocity to gaming that people would want to know in a review." I thought this was hilarious, and I oh, whoops. I guess shoot. I was gonna try to bring up a picture of that tweet, but screw it. I don't want to mess with this crap. It's easy. I just whatever. I did reply to him, and I can't remember. What did I say? Oh, I didn't reply at first. I retweeted it and just with an LOL because I thought it was funny. And he replied to me and he said, "I'm not trying to be an asshole, whatever." And then he spouted some stuff, and I was like, and I just told him, "Your opinion is useless, and you sound like a bot," because he did sound like a bot. Like the things he was telling me was like like a bot said it. Anyways, why did it make me think of bringing that? It reminded me of something that he said. I just thought it was weird. It was such a weird, you can't stop talking about yourself. And I was like, and I wondered, I was like, wait, was it that way? And I reread my own review and I was like, no. Like there's some personal stuff in it and talk, whatever. That was actually why I mentioned the earlier when I first read that paragraph about not really liking the first movie and not caring about the characters themselves, just generally. I don't see a game about Suicide Squad and I'm like, oh man, I have to play that. I thought it looked fun. I thought it looked cool. I tried the beta and I was like, this is neat, But yeah, so that's not a review of the game, but that's a more personal thing, sure, right? But I talk about the game a lot here, dude. And I was like, what the hell? And then as far as like, he said completely leaving out didn't include any of the best points about the game. I don't know, man. I don't know. When I my own personal thing when I do these reviews, especially now, over time these things have changed. There was a time where I tried to be professional with my writing because I had to, because I was doing it for other sites and stuff. I never liked it. It was so hard to. It took me a while. Eventually I got into a point where I was able to write professionally and also be personal in my writing. But when you're doing professional stuff, you do have to write a certain way. You have to say certain things. That actually reminds me. I had some thoughts on the gender thing too. I was wondering, as far as like gender identity and stuff, something I thought about was like, I wonder if they were forced to include it in the game, forced to do like certain propaganda in the game, and not only that. Not only were they most likely forced to, but they probably happily obliged, which makes sense when you care about people and what they think and when you're worried about what their feelings are and whatever, So you're like, oh, then that's cool. I don't have a problem putting this in. We care about people, la la la. But yeah, it's a bit different than that when it's actual brainwashing and nonsense. Anyways, what was? I know I had something else too that I wanted to finish up on, or just an extra note that I wanted to say. But mostly, I don't know. I like this review that I wrote. Like, I like the way it came out. I will say this: when I first was done with this review, I had published it real quickly, not like in a rush, but I had published it before realizing that Superman wasn't the final boss, and I still had a little bit more to go. So when I first wrote this, especially the first few paragraphs, they were a little bit more robotic. Half this review to me feels robotic, not because it's not my own thoughts, but because when I wrote this, that's the thought I'm gonna have. That's perfect. Yeah, I don't want to do this no more. No, I'm pretty broken right now. All right. If you've seen any of my recent political videos and whatever, I no longer want to be a part of any of it. I still enjoy video games, but anyways, so I don't want to write reviews. I've never felt like anybody has really cared, even if I did write them, and that's fine, whatever. I'm sure we all feel that way, right? Well, I don't know, man. I'm sure plenty of people have felt that way or feel that way. Whatever, you know, it's not a big deal. But I don't. I want to go stop evil. That's what I want to do. I can't. I can't do anything. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. Whatever, man. So, as much as I liked the game very much, and I have thoughts that I can share, as I was writing the review, I was forcing myself to write it. Mostly because, like Anthem and Forspoken and other games, I would even Days Gone somehow survived. I don't know why because Days Gone went through similar hate fests, as Anthem and Forspoken it did. Somehow didn't get as bad though, which is very weird. I'm like, why did it happen like that? Because it got a lot of hate. The game is so good too. Anyways, why was I saying that? Oh, so the main reason that I wrote this specific review was just because of the hate fest. Just the hate fest. That's all. It's not. I don't think this is as bad as Anthem from what I've seen. Yeah. No, Anthem is still the worst one I've ever seen, and I've seen some bad ones, man. Like Forspoken was close. Forspoken was almost that Anthem level of hate fest, man. Anyways, so when I wrote this, I was just kind of taking a few bullet points of my own thoughts and trying to put some extra words to them. That's why there's a couple things here that I just don't go into extra details, because I don't care. I'm not trying to explain what the game's about, the story. I don't like that. I don't read reviews to read what the story's about. I know what the damn story's about. I watched the freaking trailer. I read about it from the devs, you know, like... Yeah, I don't need your review to explain to me every part of the story. That's just me. That's my thing, my preference, you know, whatever. So there are things that I don't go into deeper details. I prefer to avoid spoilers, you know, and I share a lot of screenshot spoilers just because. In this game specifically, I showed like a little bit more screenshots than I usually would, because I know that a lot of people aren't even going to give it a chance, you know. So I'm like, well, screw it, let me show some cool stuff, right? And I'm not even showing, like, there's some stuff in the game I wouldn't want to show, but I'm like, oh man, that was so badass, right? But yeah, man, sometimes if the game's getting a lot of hate, I might share like something that's a little bit more spoilery. But as far as writing it into a review, I don't want to explain like the spoilery stuff, so I avoid that. You know, I'd rather tell you why I like the game and my own personal experience of playing the game. So when I saw that reply from that person, I just thought it was really funny, because I was like, that's cool, man. Read somebody else's review. I just thought it was really weird though, dude. I was like, what? Anyways. So I know it's a little awkward with me on the political side of things and all that, but whatever, man. Anyways, I really like the game. I hope you like my review, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.